On the show today, we are interviewing Rozee from NBC's hit TV show Songland. You see, Rozee is the hit songwriter behind Leona Lewis's new song, Somebody to Love. This woman lost her father when she was just 8 years old. She lost her mother when she was just 21 years old. But she never quit, and she persevered, and the world finally got to hear her on a worldwide stage on NBC's hit TV show Songland. Listen in and take notes as you learn about the power of perseverance from singer-songwriter Rozee.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we'll show you how to
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have a very special occasion because we are interviewing one of the superstars from the hit NBC show Songland. Rozee, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, ma'am?
Thank you so much. I am doing great, even better now because I get to interview with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Oh, well, hey, let's start off. Let's start off at the very beginning, and then we'll kind of work in kind of a semi-linear fashion here. Tell us about your love of music and where that came from.
My love for music came, I guess, mostly from my parents.
Yeah.
They have both passed away, but my dad was a minister. Grew up in a Pentecostal, very Christian, very strict home.
Yeah.
But he was also a vocalist, very talented and well-known vocalist on my island, St. Croix. And my mom was also a self-taught pianist and organist. So from a very young age, I was always around music. And according to my mother, I had the gift of gab, and I loved to sing, and I would always sing and make up my own little songs.
St. Croix is such a beautiful area. Can you tell us about your childhood? I mean, did you live right there on the water? Did you live kind of inland just a little bit, or where was your home?
So I lived more in the, inland. The beach is about like a 10-minute drive away, maybe, give or take, depending on where you go. But I had a very, middle class, good upbringing, nothing crazy until my later teen years when I was a little bit rebellious, but very just simple, island life, friends, family, that sort of thing. So it was definitely a very unique upbringing, I would say. Now,
and I'm sorry to bring this up, I just want to give the listeners some context. I believe that your dad passed away when you were just 8. Is that correct?
That's correct. Dad passed away when I was 8 years old, and that was during, I don't know if many of the statesiders will remember, Hurricane Marilyn. He died literally during that 2-day period. So it was very hectic for my mom.
And I believe your mom passed away when you were 21. Is that correct?
Correct. Mom passed away my second to last semester of college.
And I only bring this up because I think it demonstrates your resilience, your resiliency, your mindset. Because a lot of people would have quit and said, "Hey, I've got, these challenges." Talk to me about how that's affected your music writing, those adversities you've gone through.
The things, I think most artists who have sort of been through the rough of life, sometimes that makes for really amazing music. And I'm unfortunately fortunate, I'd say, to have been through those things because they make me who I am, and they make my lyrical content, I feel, a little bit deeper at times. So, as unfortunate as some situations are, I'm still thankful to be the person that I am through those things.
Well, we have one of our show sponsors on here with us today, Paul Hood. Meet Miss Rozee.
Hey, Rozee. How are you today?
Hey, Paul, I'm great.
Awesome.
So Paul is an accountant. He likes to think about the numbers and helping entrepreneurs. And really, as a songwriter, in my opinion, that's what you are. You're an entrepreneur, and music is your product. That's what you do. It's your passion.
Right.
How have you been able to support yourself? I know Ryan was working at Pottery Barn while working for free at Industrial Light and Magic before he hit it big, Ryan Tedder with his group OneRepublic. How have you been able to support yourself? Have you had like a variety of jobs, or have you been doing music-related jobs, or how have you been able to make it?
So let's see. I'll just backtrack a little bit. But before Songland, I now live in D.C. I lived in L.A. for 7 years before Songland. And I worked as a nanny. I did Lyft. I did vocal lessons.
Wow.
I worked as a graphic designer. So I held down about 3 jobs like right before Songland came along. And so it has varied, but each of those things have made me who I am. I am a creative. I do my own graphic design. I do my own accounting. Like I'm very self-proficient. So I'm grateful for all of those opportunities.
So where are you typically located when you're writing your songs? Do you have like a part of your maybe apartment or your house you go to, or do you like to write when you're outside while you're driving? I mean, where do you sit down and write songs?
A lot of times I'll write. Sometimes when I'm driving, like I'll have an idea and I'll just put it in my voice memo, and then I'll get home and kind of hash it out. Or sometimes I have a basement that I go downstairs. For the past 4 months, have been teaching myself guitar, so that's really come in handy, and I'm super proud of myself. That is an accomplishment in itself. So it varies, usually at home or in the car.
And so you, how did it come about for you to get on the Songland show? I mean, were you? Did you apply for this? Did maybe someone refer you to it, or because there's so many. I mean, there's thousands of songwriters that are really good. I've been to places like Nashville where it seems like the average waiter is better than than most professional musicians. I mean, there's just great talent everywhere. How did this come to be for you?
So I played a show with some friends at the Hotel Cafe in LA. It was an event, and they were looking for performers. So after the show, someone came up to me, and she was like, hey, I do casting for The Voice, and I do casting for some other shows. Can I get your contact? I loved your set. So I gave her my info, and she emailed me about The Voice. And I wasn't too interested in doing The Voice at the time. And so she's like, okay, we have some other shows coming up. I'll email you. So she sent me the info for Songland. I had to fill out the application. And then I didn't hear anything from her for about 9 months.
9 months.
So I was like, oh, well, I guess that's not really going anywhere. And after 9 months, someone else reached out, and they were like, hey, we'd love to interview you. And it was off from there.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Paul, I know you have a hot question here for Rozee.
I do, Rozee. Hey, we have clients in about almost every state of the United States, and we deal a lot with businesses and deal with frustration and all of that. And the thing that I like to study about people, and specifically, people that are overcomers is, you went through stuff like Clay was saying. Where did you find that motivation that, a lot, when the average person would have just said, you know what, that's ridiculous. Life is just too rough. And I just going to throw my hands up. Where did you find that motivation, that internal motivation just says, it's time to move on, to push forward?
Actually, there was a period of time where I did walk away from music. I moved from Miami to Los Angeles in 2013, early 2013. And when I moved to LA, I wasn't originally pursuing music as a career. But there was a moment in time where someone I met sort of recognized my talent, and they were like, you would have to be absolutely insane if you let this talent go. And that sort of struck something in me, and from that day forward, I just sort of started rebuilding myself musically and pursuing it as a career. So there was a period of time in there where I was like, this is too political. I'm being disappointed every single step of the way.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do this anymore. But I'm glad that I came out of that.
What was when you were on the show, you come up there and you performed your song. For the listeners out there that aren't familiar with your performance, could you share the name of the song that you originally showed up on and performed on the set?
Yes, so the original song I presented was called Fighting for Us, and that was a ballad.
Fighting for Us. Now, when I heard your song, I was watching Ryan's face, and having been around him a little bit in college, you can kind of see he like is fully present all the time. Music is like his thing, And I see these light bulbs going on, and he started talking about your chord progression, and he really latched onto that. Can you talk about what it was like working with Ryan on the crafting of a song? Because it's very different than how it started, but you can still feel elements of the song there. Can you just talk about what it's like working with a songwriting genius like Ryan Tedder?
Sure. Ryan, I was very observant, and I definitely took a lot away from my time with him. He was just, like you said, very present and in the moment, but you can see his brain kind of ticking away, and he found the pieces that he felt would work best and sort of pull those out of the original song. So it was very interesting to just kind of get in the studio and see, what we would come up with. And I wasn't expecting it to go the way it did. But I definitely think what he did sort of taps a little bit more into my roots, and it's something fun and something that Leona Lewis had never done before. So he was very, I don't want to say calculated, but he was very intelligent in the choices that he made and the song that we made together.
What is it like working with him in the studio? Is he intense? Is he funny? Is he just because a lot of our listeners would just love to be a fly on the wall, and on that show you get to see, it's edited obviously, so you get to see 30 seconds of that part, 42 seconds of that part. Can you kind of explain what it's like being in the room with him, and maybe what you learned most from your experience?
He's very excited in the studio. You can tell that he's excited about what he does, which is like amazing. And a lot of our session was just sort of us kind of going back and forth and collaborating about what would work best, and where the song would go, which when he took those chords, like I said, I don't think anyone who's watching the show could have imagined that it would have turned into what it turned into.
Yeah.
So it was a special moment to just be in the studio and watch his brain work.
Well, it was fun watching you work. I mean, it's fun to see the collaboration. It's really crazy that here you were, 9 months ago, you had a card from somebody who said, hey, maybe you should be on The Voice, to now. I mean,
Right.
Has your life changed a lot since this performance? Have you had some neat opportunities that maybe you're working on? I know you can't maybe share what they are exactly, but are you having some neat opportunities come about?
I've had some pretty neat opportunities, and I'm just working, as much as I can, and meeting as many people as I can. Networking is a big part of, after the show, because the show is there to be a good show. It's not, they're not necessarily invested in me as an artist, or as a songwriter, but it's a platform, and I'm so proud to have been a part of the season 1, of the show, and to be like sort of an originator. It's just been amazing. It's been a game changer for me.
Awesome. Paul, you had a question here.
I do, Rozee. And I know Clay gets into this a lot, but I know we find that a lot of most successful people kind of have an unusual reverence for time and how they spend their time. Is that you? Do you just kind of get up, and just, are you just a natural talent? And then Clay, I want to know have people started coming up to you, Rozee, and say you're an overnight sensation, when in fact it's taken a while?
Yeah, I mean, I've shared my story quite a bit, so
Yeah.
people who may not have known me were like, oh my gosh, she just came out of nowhere, and it's like, no, like you said, I've been doing this for a while. It's a different time and age now, where it's not necessarily all about talent, because you have to be the creative, the business, the everything in one. You have to have that full package. So I think I'm a natural talent myself. Music comes naturally to me, but everything else something that things that I've had to work on over the years.
Now, your song was ultimately selected by Leona Lewis to be a hit or a single for her. The song ended up being named Solo Quiero, Somebody to Love. What did it feel like to have your song selected?
It really, if you watch the show, like, I was pretty much in shock.
Yeah.
I walked off the stage crying. I didn't know what to say. They interviewed me afterwards, and I was like, I just don't even know what to say, because for me it had been a long time coming. Just something, an opportunity like this, and I was just extremely grateful. So I was just in awe and thankful at the same time. So just shout out to Leona Lewis, my fellow island girl. It's just amazing, an amazing opportunity.
Now, Leona Lewis, for the listeners out there that don't know, do you know what island Leona Lewis was raised in or grew up on?
So she's from the UK, but her dad is from Guyana. He's Guyanese.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
so funny enough, Guyanese people have a similar accent to Virgin Islands people.
And by the way, I know you live there, but the island that you were raised in, that is it's small, because you're east of Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico's not that big. I mean, that you were surrounded by a lot of water.
Yes, our island is 80 square miles.
Wow. Wow. Well,
it's about maybe an hour to get around the island, maybe.
Well, what I wanted to do was to give you an opportunity to, we have about 500,000 listeners per month to this podcast, and we're blessed to have a great audience of people that want to improve and want to get better, many of which are into the songwriting community. And so I had two final questions for you. One, for the people out there that are on a tight budget, and they're in the music game, and they want to get a nice home studio, and they're on a tight budget, okay? We've got, let's say, $3,000 or less total to invest in something. Do you have a certain microphone you might recommend, or you might say, hey, get yourself a Mac laptop and get this or get that? Could you maybe explain some of the bare minimum basics that you've used to record your ideas over the years when you were just getting started? Or, just give some people some practical direction there.
I would say, okay, I'm definitely a Mac person. Like, I've had a Mac for probably the past 8-9 years.
Yep.
So I'm definitely all about Mac. But if you can't afford a Mac, get what you can afford. A great tool that I have discovered sometimes when I'm traveling, if I don't have like a setup, GarageBand on your iPhone. Great tool. You can record really clean, clear vocals, and depending on what type of song it is, you can send the stems over to your producer and have them, produce a track around it, or just maybe get like $100 microphone.
Yeah.
Just to start, just to get your ideas. You can always go to a studio and once you have a song down, perfected at home, just go in 2 hours, cut it, get out, spend however much for those 2 hours. Those are my kind of 2 tips, I guess.
But we're now in a time and an age where everyone could, if you really want to, you can get a second job or a third job and afford to do this. GarageBand comes with the Mac computers. You said $100 mic, and somebody can at least get in the game.
Yeah.
Now, what is the website you would encourage all of our listeners to learn more about you at, or what's the YouTube channel you want to direct them to? Where would you direct our listeners to go to find out more about you and maybe the new projects you're working on?
They can go to my website. That's Rozee Music, ROZEE music.com, or my Instagram, which is Rozee Official, ROZEE Official. I'm releasing a new remix on October 18th. It's super fun, very Latin flavored, very Caribbean. So I'm kind of playing off of the show a little bit, but it's a very exciting remix for me, and it's being released by a label out of Germany.
And it's called Rozee Music. RozeeMusic.com, ROZEE music.com. Anything else you want to share with our listeners? Because I know they want to learn more about you and the music that you are currently making.
Yeah, just feel free to reach out, DM me on Instagram or contact me via my contact page on the website. I'm always open to collaboration. I'm always open to learning about other people. And, yeah, that's about it for me.
Well, Rozee, I appreciate you so much for taking time to join us today. I know Paul and I both appreciate you, and I hope that this show can be just another catalyst to help you continue doing that massive networking that you need. But we believe in you, and great job on the show.
Thank you so much. You guys are amazing.
Much like you, Rozee had every reason to quit, but we only know her name because she didn't quit. She persevered. She pushed through, even when success did not seem near. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the kind of perseverance and tenacity that you and I need to have if we want to achieve super success. Great job, Rozee. Thank you for being on the show. And we like to end each and every show with a boom. 3, 2, 1, boom.